Hello, this is a basic tutorial on how to use the brush tool in Photoshop. Some of you don't need this video because you already know how to use the brush tool and the tools within Photoshop. This is for people who need kind of a step-by-step starting point, how to create a document and also use the brush tool and adjust the brush tool properties like color and the thickness of the brush and the opacity. So first you want to go to open up your Photoshop file, your application. So I'm going to click on Photoshop. I'm going to hit New File on the top left. Hit New File. And then on the right side, it's going to ask me, what's the title of this? And I'm going to just type in Photoshop Painting Tutorial. All right, and then for the dimensions, the width of this, let's change this from pixels to inches. And 10-inch wide, height 8 inches, and resolution, which is how much detail this file can project, describe, is 300. Okay, and that's a good resolution detail level for things that need to be printed. Okay, and we'll keep it at RGB color mode later on. Once you understand how to change this, you can change this to CMYK if you're printing this out, but just for right now, RGB is fine. Background is white, color profile, Adobe RGB, default, that's good. Just hit create. There's our file, there's our artboard. Okay, now we have the toolbox on the left here, and you can move that around by grabbing the top of the box. Okay, so there you go. And if I accidentally remove that toolbox, I can always go under Windows. On the very bottom here, I can click on Tools, and the toolbox will show up again. Let's see here. Also in the window is, let's see, brushes, brush settings. So I'm going to hit Brush Settings, and I'm going to leave that to the right here. And then I'm going to choose the color. How do you choose the color of your brush? So you notice there's two boxes on the bottom of your toolbox. That's your foreground color and your background color. Your foreground color is the color that you're specifying for your brush. So I can double click that, and I can change that to a blue color by moving this bar along this rainbow of colors and choosing the blue that I want. I can choose a pale blue. I can choose a rich, dark, saturated, powerful blue. I can choose a darker, more muted blue. And for this one, I'm going to just choose something towards the upper right. Not too saturated, not too strong. And you can change that according to what you want to create. Okay, so there's my color of my brush. And let's see here. I can change the size of my brush. There's my first line here. I can change the size of my brush by going to Brush Settings and adjusting the size. I can make it smaller, narrower. I can make it larger. Notice how the brush size changes. There you go. And I would say for beginners, or if you're not too familiar with this, stick with your basic brushes. You can experiment with these other brushes later, but practice with this first. And you can, this is just, how do you say, give you the basics so you can start working on projects and to complete them. And let's see here, if I want to erase something, I can go to my eraser tool, which is right here. It's a little icon with a, looks like a little eraser with a line showing. Click onto that, and I can erase things on my artboard. And if I want to change the size of my eraser, I can increase the size. Or if I want to make the eraser very thin, I can do that as well. So you can go back and forth by adding color, adding lines, adding shapes and forms, and then you can use the eraser to cut away from it. Okay, so we'll keep that, and I'm going to go ahead and erase most of this right here, or all of it. I want to now demonstrate. Okay, so increase the size of my eraser. Let's go ahead and erase all of that. And with the large size, let's go back to the brush, and I'm going to keep a very large paintbrush. I'm going to just paint in a background. So the background paint color, I will choose like a brown. And I'll just fill up most of this. That's kind of like an airbrush effect. There we go. This brush is completely opaque. It's not transparent. It's not like a light diluted color. I'm just using opaque colors. And the opacity is, you can see, controlled up on the top bar here. Right now it's at 100%. I can do 50%, and I'll demonstrate that a little bit later. So now, let's get the rest of this. There's my layer of color. Now I'm going to change the color of this. Let's change this to kind of an orange color. And I'm going to make the brush like medium size. I'm going to adjust the size of the brush, and I will draw just kind of a caricature here. I'm drawing with a mouse, and it's doable. You can draw with a mouse. And you can draw with a Wacom tablet if you have one. Okay, so here's the face that I created. And if I wanted to change the color, let's choose a different color now. Let's choose like see, a yellow. Now I can go in and let's go back to a bigger brush. And I will paint in this area here a lighter yellow. And if I wanted to add some yellow to the face, but I don't want to completely cover up what's underneath, I can go to opacity and lighten up the opacity. I'm going to do 33%. So it's going to put the yellow on there, but it's not going to be super strong. And the more layers I put onto this, the lighter it gets. But it gives me a little bit more control of the intensity of the yellow. And I can change that yellow to even lighter still, go a bit lighter. Change the size of my brush. I want to go a little bit thinner because I want to do more detail. So this is what's controlling the brush, almost kind of mimicking what you would do with in real life painting. And let's see here, let's go over to the right here and draw a blue area. So I got the brush, I want to go a little bit bigger brush, and now I'll change the color again to a blue. So let's move that to a blue color. And I want to change this to opacity 100% again. I want the full strength of that color. There we go. Okay, and now I'm going to choose a little bit darker blue. So you can see how you can, with these basic tools, you can draw your shape and your idea. And I'm kind of rushing through it, but if you take your time, you can create your concept, your idea to maybe solve a problem or find a solution for a problem. I'm going to choose a darker brown or a darker green. Let's see, or see, you know what? Let me go with white first. I want to choose like a bright white or a very tan. Here you go, tan. And then I'm going to choose the brush, and then I'll draw. Now, let me undo that Command Z. I want a little bit harder edge. So in the brush palette tool, you notice there's one circle with a little bit harder edge. So I want something that's a little bit sharper edge. And notice the difference, it's not as soft. And the reason for that is I want to draw more of a building shape and form. And then on the bottom there, I'm going to change the color to green. Let's choose a green here. And I will draw in some foliage here. So step by step, by using these simple tools, and it just takes patience, understanding what you're drawing, using the brush palette tool. And just as a reminder, if this brush settings disappears, remember, go always to Windows, go to brush settings, and here's a quick key right here. If you type in F5 on your keyboard, you'll get this, but just click on it, it'll come back again for you. Here are all your different brush settings. This is your size of your brush. And then over here you have the eraser, if you want to use the eraser to erase things on your design. And you can always overlap things, and working with opacity, you can change the, just demonstration with opacity, I want to show you something. Let's see, what would be, let me try choosing a green color, but I want to change the opacity to 10%. And watch what happens. On the right side of the face here, I'm going to, let's see here, that's too light. Go to my brushes. Opacity is at, let's go and type that at 10%. Now on the right side, I still have that green color selected. I'm going to add green to the colors on the right side of the face. And this is almost like glazing technique. It's still utilizing the color underneath. So you can adjust colors, make it a little bit more interesting, more complexity to your colors. If I brought that back up to a higher opacity level, and the flow, the strength of the brush, let's bring that down a little bit. And also the brush size, let's bring this brush size further down, and then see. So you see how much darker it became. So there you go. There's a basic demonstration of how to use the brush tool with the opacity and the brush adjustments to just get started without getting too fancy. And you can continually learn the different techniques and possibilities. The more you practice, but this is just a way to get started. And this might be kind of a review for some of you. And the key here is using your artistic skills and understanding balance, composition, proportion, and spending time on this so that you can get the shapes and forms that you like. And periodically save your file. Has that ever happened to you where you work on something and something happens and the computer freezes? And if you didn't save the file, then you lost all that work that you created. So make sure you go ahead and save your file periodically. Okay. It's just a good habit to have. And I'm going to stop right there. I think that was a good demo for you, and hope you can use it to get started with your projects. And if you have any questions, email me or message me in Canvas.